Welcome back to the Trimester Bubble. Today, we're going to be talking about all things prenatal and postpartum yoga. Things like what's the difference between prenatal and postpartum yoga? And why would you want to continue on your yoga practice after you deliver your little one? Also, when's the right time to get started? And we are thrilled to have one of my good friends, Allie Greer, with us today. She is a yoga medicine therapeutic specialist, a 500-hour experienced registered yoga teacher, and a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. Hi, I'm Dr. Alyssa, and welcome back to the Trimester Bubble. I'm a chiropractor and dynamic body balancing facilitator at Body and Balance Chiropractic. We support mamas, mamas-to-be, and babies by helping them live their best lives. Here on the podcast, we bring you educational content for the pregnancy journey and guest specialists to support the beautiful time of pregnancy. We know that this is often a confusing and lonely time, and all of us here at the Trimester Bubble want to support you on your journey that is mamahood and raising little ones. If you're local to the Boulder, Colorado area, I'd love to invite you to our free pain-free pregnancy class that meets in person at Community Roots Midwife Collective. We discuss why pain is common in pregnancy, but not normal, and what you can do at home to have a pain-free pregnancy. Plus, meet other moms and build your community. If you want more information and to sign up, head over to our website, www.bodyandbalancechiropractic.com, and click Schedule Online and select classes and support groups. If you like this episode, feel free to share that link with your friends. It would mean so much to us. Today, we have a guest joining us. Our guest is Allie Greer. So stick with us until the end so you can learn all about her offerings. Allie is a yoga medicine therapeutic specialist, a 500-hour experienced registered yoga teacher, and a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. She has specialties in biomechanics, pre- and postnatal yoga, myofascial release, and subtle body dynamics. She teaches group yoga classes in the Boulder area, specialized workshops, teacher trainings, international retreats, and she sees clients one-on-one for therapeutic yoga and craniosacral therapy. I am so excited to have her with us today. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait for all of you to hear what she has to share from the bubble. All right, let's get chatting with Allie. Thanks again, Allie, for joining us today on the Trimester Bubble. Do you mind just starting out by talking a little bit about who you are, what you do, who you like to work with?
Sure. My name's Allie Greer, and I live in Boulder, and I'm a yoga medicine therapeutic specialist, as well as a pre and postnatal specialist. I love working with all types of bodies, shapes, sizes, genders. I love working with everyone. My specialty, though, does lie in self-myofascial release, cranial sacral therapy, as well as pre and postnatal yoga.
Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of how we got connected, was through the prenatal yoga worlds.
Mhm.
Do you mind talking a little bit about just prenatal yoga and then how that differs from postnatal yoga?
Sure. Yeah. So prenatal yoga is what the practice that we do before giving birth. Prenatal yoga is really a practice specialized to hold space for women and hold this container of women to come in and to feel supported throughout their journey in pregnancy. And that could be from the first trimester to the second to the third, or even pre-trimester, when you're even thinking about conceiving. It could also be a really warm, sacred space to be held, even when you're even thinking about getting pregnant. So prenatal yoga is really specialized to support uh, a woman in her journey through pregnancy and support, the preparation that it takes mentally, physically, spiritually, mentally, in this journey of transitioning to motherhood.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really, really special and so important during a women's journey. Um, I'm kind of a physical person, and so especially with chiropractic care, a lot of our prenatal care is for mom, for them preparing for birth and making sure that they're comfortable during their pregnancy. Do you have any specific goals with prenatal yoga that you like to focus on? Any areas of the body that you try to build up? Anything like that?
Yeah, so great question. So, in a prenatal class, I would say there's, especially the way that I teach it, there's always like a big portion of the class that's built in for creating strength, specifically in the pelvis and hips, the strength in the arms, all these things, as well as deep inner core strength, stability work, to really support the body as the baby begins to grow and the weight of belly gets a little bit more compressive on the spine often. So a lot of the way that I teach prenatal is to build strength as well as releasing tension. So every prenatal class, the way that I teach it incorporates some level of self myofascial release. And so we use specialized balls to kind of help help with blood flow, circulation, reduce tension, unwind, um, any stagnation that's sitting in the body. During pregnancy, stagnation is really common. Anytime we're sitting in a position longer than normal, it gets even intensified during pregnancy. And so the movement is really such an incredible key to releasing stagnation, which what we know can turn into pain and discomfort in the body. And so the movement that we do helps support that. The myofascial release that we do helps support that. And then the strength work that we do also helps to stabilize some of these smaller muscles in the body that take a lot of tax, as the baby starts to grow, as the uterus starts to expand, as our ligaments start to expand. So all these things can be really helpful in supporting throughout the entire journey of pregnancy. And so every single class that I teach really has a strong focus on all of those things. And then what's cool about it is, I teach in person and then I offer that same class online. And so we begin every session with a chance for everyone to speak and to build community. And so we talk about what's going on in your body, if there's any, requests that they might have that they really want me to focus on. For example, say they're going through a period of calf cramps, right? And so I'll incorporate things that are going to really help support releasing that tension and unwinding any of that stagnation that they might be experiencing. I would say the most common thing that I get is pelvis and hips. Those are usually the biggest ones. And that's often when I also refer out to you guys.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, that seems to be the biggest complaint with our pregnancy new patients is sacral pain, hip pain, just everything low back and pelvis for sure.
Yeah.
That all sounds really, really exciting and perfect. And like you have that mind body connection that you try to introduce at the beginning of all your classes. Do you mind talking a little bit about how postpartum yoga differs from prenatal yoga?
Yeah. So in prenatal yoga, we're really thinking about how to create space for both mom and baby during pregnancy. I would say that's the biggest idea when it comes to prenatal, and also preparing emotionally and mentally through breath work and different things that we can do in the yoga practice. And then the difference is with postpartum, we're really thinking about how to come back into the body and how to close space. So in prenatal, we're creating space. With postnatal, we're thinking about how to really create that closing in, coming back into center in the body, especially after coming into a quite expansive experience through labor.
Mhm.
Does that help
That's
answer your question?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Are there any specific kind of physical changes that you implement during your sessions? Any different poses, or does it kind of a good translation from pre to post?
Yeah. So in postpartum, I think a big thing that we want to focus back in on is how to come back into center. And so,
Mhm.
a very common symptom during pregnancy is diastasis recti, and it's a normal occurrence that happens in every pregnancy. And so really kind of coming back into the breath and and learning techniques and skills how to draw back into center in a skillful way is really
Mhm.
important, especially as you start to take on additional exercises that you may have done pre-pregnancy or in your first trimester that you haven't done in a while. So this whole idea of coming back into center, coming back into connection with the core, and that's not just the abdominal core, it's the pelvic core, it's the pelvic floor, it's the spine. So all these areas that kind of pull you back into center are really important places to learn how to work through, to gather strength and resiliency back into those spaces.
Yeah, it's so important to build your body back up after birth. That starts with breathing properly, making sure everything's released and balanced, and as you said, building that strength back up. Absolutely. So when you see moms throughout their pregnancy, do you have any advice for them to keep their good yoga active habits going through postpartum?
Hmm. Yeah. So one breath that I really like to work with, it's a transverse abdominal breath, and the transverse abdominals kind of are the deepest layer of the abdominal core, and so learning how to use your breath specifically through the exhalation to draw in. Really, the idea of the transverse abdominals is to hold the abdominal contents in, and so using that with an exhale breath. So those are the abdominals that I'm not necessarily going to work when I'm doing a crunch or a sit up. This is abdominal muscle that I'm only really working through that exhalation breath. And the good news is it's safe all the way through pregnancy, and it's safe almost immediately after you give birth. So it's this whole idea that as you exhale, you just imagine that you're drawing the belly in, everything's coming into center, but at the same time, the spine staying nice and lengthened. And so feeling that whole connection of coming in is really helpful throughout the entire pregnancy, because during pregnancy, it can help to eliminate the severity of the diastasis recti. And then postpartum, it can encourage this drawing back into center to reestablish the connection to the linea alba of the diastasis recti. So it can be really, really helpful to do, and it can be done anytime. So there's really no contraindication to that. So that would be like the biggest thing that I really guide and cue in the prenatal space that will take you right into postnatal. And you can start doing that almost immediately.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Is this something that women can come to you to learn how to do properly, or is this something that they can learn at home?
Yeah, I think you can do a little bit of both. I think you can come to my classes. We can work online. We can work over the phone. There's lots of different ways to do that. And also, it's just simply like learning how to work with your breath. It's learning how to tune in and to feel into the way that your body's breathing on your inhale and exhale. And so there's lots of different techniques and tools that we could, even do together here on this space, just to kind of learn how to negotiate that connection into center. One of my favorite ways postpartumly is taking something as simple as a scarf and tying it around the waist, so that as you exhale, you find that tie, which helps to draw into center. So that can be a really nice technique, is just to take a simple scarf or a strap and tie it around the waist. And as you exhale, just pulling everything in, getting that idea of drawing into the midline of the body. So it can be really
Yeah,
helpful.
no, yeah, that's a really good visual for our listeners, definitely.
Mhm.
And then do you have a top three things that women can do at home to keep their yoga practice alive when they're at home with their newborn? They don't feel like going out, they're just adapting to their new role.
Yeah, I think really it just depends on how much time do you have, right? So postpartum, like it goes by really fast, especially that first month, right after giving birth. So there's a lot of time that you're going to be nursing, you're going to be in awkward positions in your body. So finding a few moments where you can just, lay over a pillow or a bolster so that your shoulders are draping back to really help support, the postural tendencies that are common, postpartum. So something as simple as that, and just connecting into your breath and really finding time to be supported and to be in your breath can be very helpful. And that could be, as much as 2 or 3 minutes. The belly breath that I talked about with that, you know, tendency to kind of draw in on that exhale, hug in on the exhale, that can be done at any time. Simple cat cow movements can also be really helpful. I would say just the biggest thing with movement postpartum is really kind of listening to your body on this one. If you are still currently like bleeding during that fourth trimester, you probably want to keep the movement really simple. And maybe you're just going to do some hip circles, or maybe you're just going to do some really gentle movement just to keep that blood flow and circulation going. Or as I recommended, just a gentle like back supported back bend to open the shoulders, the chest, and the pecs. And simple breath exercises. All those things can be really, really helpful. And then once bleeding has stopped and you start to get permission from your medical practitioner that exercise can be started again, then coming to a postpartum class can be really helpful. You can bring your baby usually, and it's a really welcoming space to be amongst other moms where you can feed, you can nurse, you have lots of space. The baby can be crying, the baby can be sleeping. It's just a time for moms to connect. And I really think that that's one of the biggest important factors for pre and postnatal is this idea of community. It's really what we need to be supported as mothers and to be supported in this new journey, this new experience that we're going to be in life, and to kind of have a village that's going to be there with you, that's going through the same things, that you can talk to, that you can lean into, is so profound and so helpful. And that's even, in my opinion, more important than the physical movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Boulder has such a great community that we're starting to build back up after COVID. And when we think about postpartum, some people are like, oh, 6 weeks, but it's actually so much longer than that. And we think about how long a woman is pregnant, up to 42 weeks or sometimes even longer. And you should have all that time and more after delivery to recover and to build that community back up.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
there's
Yeah.
no rush. I think that
Mhm.
there's, in our society, there's such a misalignment with that, like, okay, got to get back to work, got to get back to the, prenatal body, like the pre-baby body and all that stuff. But the thing is that your body has forever changed. Like it's not ever going to be the same as it was prior to having children. And so
Mhm.
it's really like coming back into this new idea, this new way of how your body is experiencing life, and how we can grow from that. Um, because it's different. Everything has changed. Everything's different now. And so finding a supportive community that can be with you as well can be so helpful.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for talking about the yoga practice, and everything you do with moms in Boulder. But I know you have a lot of other tools that you have, besides traditional yoga. Do you mind talking about some of those?
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. And so that's really a practice that is informing so much of how I practice right now. And a lot of this is it's all one-on-one work. So it's a hands-on body work approach that is quite a gentle approach. and yet so potent, because really what we're doing is we're listening for the health of the system, and the health of the system is kind of underneath all those other layers, right? And so when we listen to the health of the system, it's this intuitive flow within the body that really can help support and sustain whenever there's issues going on, whether it's mental, physical, whether it's something like hip pain or insomnia, chronic, acute pain, all of these things that are kind of sitting on the surface. The craniosacral can kind of go under those layers and pull up the blueprint of health in our system. And that's really this intelligence that is always there. It's there when we're an embryo, right? And so when we can work with the craniosacral rhythm, we can help to start to unwind anything that's going on in the body. It can be helpful for both mom and baby to have cranial work done, because it can really bring things into alignment and to synchronicity between the mom and baby. It can help support bonding as well. And it can just be incredibly supportive and nourishing for anything that might be going on prenatal or postnatal. So I love this work, and I'm so thrilled to be offering this to my clients. In addition to yoga therapeutics, right? So one-on-one work that I do is really biomechanic based, but also kind of bringing in some of these subtle body practices, breath, meditation, myofascial release, really made to work with what's going on specifically in a person's body. So this one-on-one work is really one of my specialties. And I absolutely adore the group work that I do. And it's so important for me to be in community, but and I also feel like the one-on-one work can be so profound in working with anything that might be coming up in the system.
Yeah, no, you threw out some amazing phrases. You said health of the system, the flowing and blueprints of the body. And I completely agree. I've seen craniosacral work just be a little bit of an additive to some treatments that we provide also. It can just be that missing piece to getting people to feeling much better than when they came in. And
Yes.
I love it. I love receiving it. I love using it in the office. And it sounds like you're doing great work with that also.
Yeah, it's like once you get the like, so the cranial work is really, built around balancing the nervous system. And once the nervous system's online, then all other systems can be supported as well. And so the cranial work for me has totally been the missing link in what I do yoga therapeutically. So absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to kind of wrap up our interview, what would you say is the seed of health that you want to plant with our listeners?
Mm. I would say listening to your body, right? Taking those moments to pause and to breathe into your body and listen, right? Deeply listen to both you and your baby. Your baby has such an intelligence that's so inherently there, and giving yourself that space to get quiet and be supported by both the energetic field around you as well as the two of you can be so helpful. So I feel like that would be a nice seed to plant.
Yeah, listening to your body. Very important and great advice. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners or anything that I want to talk about?
Yeah, I do. I'm starting a new postpartum class beginning the first week of September. So that's happening locally here in Boulder. I regularly teach a prenatal class, and I'm adding this additional offering on a regular basis now. So I'm super excited. And this is all at Una Vida, which is in Niwot, Colorado. So it's a really lovely space that's built to support women and their experience through childbirth. So I'm really excited for this new offering, and happy to be supported by you all as well.
Okay, yeah, and you said that was beginning the first week of September, correct?
So I believe our first class is Tuesday, September 5th at 11:15. And then I teach prenatal every Monday evening at 5:30 as well.
Okay, that is awesome. Thank you again, Allie, for joining us. And we are very, very excited to share all your knowledge and your offerings. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Trimester Bubble today. We so appreciate your support. If you know another mama or a mama-to-be who could use the information in this episode, please share the link with them. Thank you again to Allie for joining us today. If you're local to the area, be sure to check out her classes, including her new postpartum class that begins Tuesday, September 5th at 11:15 a.m., and also her regular prenatal class that's every Monday at 5:30. Check out the show notes for more details on how to join her. We also love hearing from you, so please send us a message and let us know any thoughts or questions about this episode. I'm Dr. Alyssa with the Trimester Bubble. We'll see you soon.